Well, good morning, Equus Nation. This is Brandon Hall. This is the Elite Producer Bootcamp training that we have every single Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And I can't wait to get this thing rolling today. As you guys know, this is something that we do every Saturday because we want you guys to have something to plug into, along with the other amazing Equus trainings that we have every single week that gives you the raw reality, gives you practices, gives you different things that you can implement into your business immediately and start seeing results. And we try to have a different guest on every week or every other week so that you get a fresh face on here and you actually hear from people that are out there getting the results, not just talking about it, not fantasizing about it, but actually doing it. And this week, we have a special guest, and it's somebody that I have a lot of respect for. Number one, because she is a family woman, and she has been with Equus now for about 2.5, 3 years. And what's really cool about Noell Hughes, our guest today, is she has 5 kids, and she's been married for, it looks like about good 12 years now. And for her to be able to balance all that is pretty awesome because, I have 4 dogs and it's hard for me to balance me and them all at the same time, me, Pete, and the dog. So, Noah, I don't know how you do it, but yeah, she's awesome. She has a great attitude. And one of the biggest things that made me want to have her on this is because every time that I'm around her, her her attitude, her aura, and the way that she speaks to you, it's infectious. And she just makes you feel like she's listening to you, that you're just a normal person and that you're important to her. And I really like that. And on top of that, she happens to be a silver elite producer here at Equus Financial. And that's exciting. So she's also a district manager. So she's building a team and she's an elite producer, which is pretty fantastic. So welcome to the training, Noell Hughes. Thank you so much for being on today. We're definitely blessed to have you on here. And what I want to do is dive right into our topic and talk about the main subject for today. And I know that you're amazing at this just from my different interactions with you. But today we're going to talk about how to connect with your clients in a way that increases your sales, how you listen to them, how you ask the right questions, but at the end of the day, how to increase your sales by getting a better connection with your client. So I'm going to let you run with it, and then we can kind of bounce back and forth and go from there. And we're going to be as raw and real for everybody today. So go for it, Noell.
Thanks, Brandon. Well, first of all, it's an honor to be asked to be on here and to be able to talk with you, the number one producer in Equus. This is just unreal, and you've done such a fantastic job with this the last few weeks. I've loved listening to you every Saturday. So connecting with clients is one of the most important things that you can do when you're meeting with a client. It really sets the tone for how the whole appointment is going to go. Now, I'm pretty sure all managers train this way, Brandon, is build rapport first. When you're walking into a home to sit down, when you're first getting on video with virtual, either way, the first thing you're wanting to do is build rapport with that client. Because I think the first thing they think of when they hear you on the telephone is salesperson, they're automated, robotic, don't trust them. At least that's how I would be if I knew somebody was coming to my house to talk with me. So when you get into the home, the first thing you want to do is build rapport immediately, because that is the first impression. And they're sizing you up from the first second that they see you. I feel like the first minute is probably when they're sizing you up. And they've already made a decision whether they like you or not. But it is so crucial because that's what breaks down that wall of salesperson, robotic, automated. They realize that you're just a normal person. You are just the same as them, and they start to trust you. That wall, that guard that they build up starts to break down, okay? So what that does is it sets the client at ease, because there's been so many times where I've gone into a home and there was a gentleman with his arms folded, his brow furrowed, or a woman, they do the same thing, just brows furrowed, they don't trust you. And that is not the right time to start any sort of sales presentation. That is the exact wrong time, because they don't trust you. They don't like you yet. But as you start to talk about them. Give a little bit of information about yourself, but not a lot. People don't want to hear your life story. They want to talk about themselves. So, talk a little bit about yourself, but mostly ask about them. And you'll see that wall start breaking down. They'll sit up, they'll uncross their arms, their brows relaxed, and then they start leaning forward and they start engaging with you. And when you crack a smile or you crack a laugh on their face, that guard is gone. That wall is kind of broken down. And that is a really good point in time to start transitioning into your sales presentation, because they trust you. They realize that you're just a regular human being, just the same as them. You probably have some common interests, some likes. You've probably joked around a little bit at that point. And so it's a great point to start transitioning into your sales presentation. Now, there's a few different ways to do this, Brandon, and I've done it both ways, okay? As an in-home producer, I would connect with what I saw on the wall, a picture, an area rug, a kitchen table. Hey, I loved your wreath on the door. I thought it was beautiful. You connect with what you see. And that's a fantastic way of doing it. A lot of agents, especially brand new agents, are a little bit nervous to go into a home. I know when I first went into a home for the first month or so, I was terrified. And so being able to drum up a conversation like that on the spot was really tough for me, because I was kind of frozen and I didn't know what to say, and it sounded fake, and it was really worrisome to me. So being able to almost, and this is going to sound wrong, but almost automate rapport was really helpful for me in overcoming that fear. Knowing exactly what I was going to talk about in each home really broke down. I didn't have to come up with something to talk about. I knew exactly what to do. It gave me confidence, and it didn't sound fake anymore. If you want, I can go into how I automate rapport, Brandon, if that's something that would be helpful. There's kind of a little system that I follow. Bill Lampy taught it to me. It's fantastic.
Yeah, go for it.
So Bill Lampy reached out to me, and he really helped me automate my rapport. And he does something called WFWFW. And it stands for where. So where are you from? And then the F is family. And then the next W is work. The next F is fun. And then the last W is why. So there's a simple formula with each of those. Is you give one little bit of information about yourself first, and then you ask 4 questions to the client in each category. So for example, a little bit about me is I'm originally from Arizona, but we've moved around a lot. We've lived in Illinois and West Texas, and now we settled in San Antonio. We love it here. So where are you from, Brandon? Are you originally from Florida, or have you moved around a bit yourself? And then you ask 4 questions in that category. And then you move on to the next one, family. So again, a little bit about myself. I'm a mom of 5. I've got 5 little kids, and we've got 9 animals. So I run a 3-ring circus at home, but I love it. What about you? Any kids, grandkids, pets? What do you have going on? And then you ask them 4 questions in that category. And then so on and so forth. You go on to work, fun, and why. And then why is asking about the lead. I hold up the lead. Now tell me about this. What were you looking for? Who were you trying to protect? And then you really transition into the in-home. But it's really important to connect with people. So I've done it both ways, and I love both ways. And there's been times in my career with Equus that it was serving for me to have it automated. That way I don't really have to think about it. But it works every time. It's a nice little formula. So that's been really helpful for me. And I think for a lot of new agents who are struggling to build rapport, this might be a good way for you to overcome that initial fear, not have to worry about coming up with a conversation on the spot. You already have it written out. And I've got it on a little sticky note right here on my computer. So I can see it every time I talk with a new client. It's been really helpful. But yeah, Brandon, I can't emphasize how important it is to connect with that client. You guys are just real people. And as soon as you can break down that wall and you're just real people talking to real people, that's when the magic happens.
Absolutely. Now, I know my answer to this question is yes, I've done this. Have you ever tried to run an appointment and you skip the warm-up process and the building rapport process, and you just get straight to the product, straight to the numbers, and then somehow we're always shocked that they say, I got to think about it, or I got to talk to my wife about it, or we got to talk about it, we got to pray about it. Whatever the situation is, tell everybody what happens those times and why do they say that they have to think about it when you skip the building rapport process.
Absolutely, Brandon. I've made every mistake you possibly can make in this business. I've gone in, full bore, guns blazing. GPM is amazing. Look at these living benefits. You need them in your life. Here's a quote. What do you think? And then they're like, I don't know. I got to think about it. So absolutely, I've been in that situation. And I don't blame them. They don't trust me. It really comes down to it. When someone comes up with an objection for you, they either don't trust you, it's too expensive, or they don't see the value in it. And so when you don't build rapport, it always comes down to they just don't trust you. They don't know you. They think you're a salesperson. They think that's the only reason why you're there, is just to sell to them. When you can build rapport, Brandon, and you know this, people start to realize that you care about them as a human. You're not just a salesperson, but you care about them and their well-being. Some great advice that I was given, and I don't remember who, but it was ask more and talk less. That was really helpful to me. Instead of talking the client into buying a product or, jumping into a policy, ask them more questions. And that is true with building rapport. Like I said, people want to know a little bit about you, enough to make you seem like you're a human and you're real, but they don't want your whole life story. So give a little bit of information, but ask more, talk less, ask them questions about themselves. And then it's true for the in-home too. If you're asking questions, and the better you get at asking questions, the better you are going to be at writing policies, because people don't want to be sold to. They don't want to be told what to do. They want to convince themselves what's right, and they want to sell themselves. And you do that by asking questions. And the better questions you ask and the better you get at asking questions, the better you're going to be at selling in the end. So ask more, talk less. And then another trick, and I think every elite producer does this, is they say something like, now, Brandon, is it okay if I just talk to you like I would my brother? I would my uncle, my grandpa, my mom, my dad, whatever they are to you. Is it okay if I just talk to you like family? I don't like to be salesy. I don't like to beat around the bush. I just want to talk. I just want to give it to you straight. I don't want to have to sugarcoat anything. And I have never been told, no, please sugarcoat it. I would love that. Everybody's like, yes, please just talk to me. Just give it to me real, give it to me straight. That builds a little bit of credibility as well, a little bit more confidence in you, because now they don't feel like they're being sold to. They're just being talked to like a family member who would give advice to another family member. So absolutely, I faced that before. Definitely. I hope I answered your question, didn't go down rabbit hole too deep, but for sure, Brandon, if you don't build that rapport, they don't trust you. They don't like you. It's simple as that.
I love it. Yeah. I've made that mistake, and you get to the end and I'm like, why didn't they buy? I don't understand why they got to think about it. I mean, the price is great. The product is amazing, but how they look at the product is so much more important than the product itself. Because if there's no seen value, like you said, it's either they feel like they can't afford it, they don't trust you, or they just don't see the value in the product. And it's hard for them to see value and for them to see that the product is worth the price to them if the lens that they are seeing it through, if the perspective that they're seeing it through is, how can I trust this person? Is what they're saying true? How do I know that they're not trying to scam me? I don't know this person from Adam or Eve. You know what I'm saying? So how do I know this is real? So the way that you stop that, or at least prevent it as much as possible, is by, like you said earlier, breaking that wall down. Now, I think that you have been in these situations before where sometimes you can find yourself talking a little bit too much about yourself and not letting them talk enough. And that's dangerous. But on the other hand, what I have found, and I'm sure that you can expand on this, is a lot of times when you get good at asking questions, and some people I know when they're watching this are saying, well, Noel and Brandon, how do I get better at asking questions? And I'm going to answer this, and then I'm going to jump to Noel. The way that you get really good at asking questions is by being a phenomenal listener. A phenomenal listener. And you don't listen to respond. You don't listen to think up what is the next thing I'm going to say, like lining your questions up. Like right now, talking to Noel, I don't have questions written down for her. I didn't do that because this is candid, it's real, it's off the cuff. I want it to be as real as possible, and that's how your appointments are going to be. And maybe it is good for you to have maybe some baseline questions written down to kind of help you in the home. But for me, whenever you're talking, like, I love what you said, the WFWFW, the where, the family, and so on. What happens is when you're asking these questions, they're going to tell you how to sell them. They're going to tell you what is important to them, and they're going to tell you how to tie how you're going to tie the product and the living benefits or the death benefit or whatever it is. They're going to tell you how to tie that back to what's important to them so that you don't have to sell it. They're like, well, I want to cover half the balance because this is exactly what I need for my grandchildren. But if you didn't ask the right questions, you might have been trying to sell them on leaving it to their kids, and they might hate their kids. They might love their grandchildren, hate their kids, or vice versa. So, Noel, expand on that. What has been in your experience with that?
Absolutely. That's everything, Brandon. That's why the why is so important, and it's so important to ask. And you can always, this is something that I do is I ask questions in my favor. Okay. And you can learn how to set this up. So when I'm asking why, I hold up the lead and I say, now, Brandon, you probably got 1 million of these when you closed on that loan. Now, all of my clients, Brandon, are looking to protect a loved one. They want to make sure that in the event of something catastrophic happening, they're not leaving a huge burden behind for someone else to take care of. Now, what were you looking for? Why were you looking to take care of this loan? Who were you trying to protect? So you can set up the question to be in your favor to get the answer that you want. And I think that is, an art of the sale is learning how to ask questions that have an answer that you want. It's a yes answer. You're nodding your head. So you can do that. But absolutely, everybody has a pressure point. Everybody has a pain point. And it's up to you to figure out what that is. Where is the hole that they're trying to fill? Because they wouldn't have sent that request in if there wasn't something that was on their heart or their mind wanting to protect. Now, they're not going to give that to you right off the bat. Brandon, I want $100,000. I want it to be less than $100 a month. And if you do that, I'm going to buy from you right this second. Nobody's ever said that to me. Because they're holding their cards close to their chest until they know they can trust you. Okay. But slowly you break that down, you break that wall down, and the more you ask smart questions and the more you listen, exactly like you said, you know exactly how to close them in the end. You know that pain, you know exactly what they're looking for. The client wants to make sure that in the event of the husband becoming disabled, the wife and the kids are not going to lose the house because they're a one-income home. And I knew that because the client told me that at the beginning. But I remembered it for the end. So then you can bring that pain back up. So absolutely, Brandon, that is so crucial to be a good listener. And like you said, don't ask just to respond, ask to really listen and understand. And if you're a smart producer, you're going to store that in your memory bank and you're going to know exactly how to close them at the end because they've laid their cards out for you and they don't even know it.
I love it. How do you handle, because I know everybody's going to want to know this, how do you handle the people, you pointed this out earlier, where you walk in and they're like this, they're all leaned back, stuffed up, and they're just kind of like, what do you got? And you're trying to talk to them and kind of build that rapport. And they're like, okay, well, we just want to get down to the numbers, the black and whites, and well, how much is this going to be? And you've literally been there, or you've been doing virtual maybe for like 30 seconds to a minute, and they're already like, "Hi, Noel. Let's get to the point. How much is this? That's really all that matters to us." How do you handle that?
I'm so glad you brought that up, Brandon. That's happened so many times, more times than I can count. I literally remember one appointment I showed up and the gentleman had a kitchen timer on his table. And he said, "You told me on this phone that it will take 15 to 20 minutes. So 20 minutes, here you go." And he set the timer down and I ended up writing a nap. Now, I don't know. I mean, I know how I did it because I know how to build rapport on the spot. So for sure, that's happened where people just want to get down to business. And that is a posturing thing. They're trying to get control of the situation and take that control away from you. I know that sounds kind of bad, but you as a producer need to be in control and steering the ship at all times. So in those situations, Brandon, what I did was I jumped right into the needs analysis. Now, the first thing I do is I always posture myself and I do something, I think Vince Hall taught me this term. It's called setting the table. So you line out exactly how the appointment's going to go, and that way you take control back. So, of course, Brandon, yeah, you're a busy man, so you've probably got things to do. So let's get down to it. Brandon, I'm your underwriter, so I'm going to be the one that takes care of this for you. You need to make sure you qualify because not everybody can have this. So I'm going to ask you questions, take notes. We're going to see if you can have this policy even. And then after that, we're going to run some numbers to make sure it fits the budget because that's really important, making sure that the household budget stays intact. Now, once I do that, we're going to find which one fits the best for you. Then we're going to submit the request to see if you qualify. Now, I can't guarantee anything because I can't grant you official approval today, but I will get the process started for you. So right there, I just took that control. You know, they were like, "All right, get down to it." You know, they were trying to boss me around, but I'm in charge. And then I get right into the needs analysis. And then, I'm sorry, Brandon, you build rapport as you go. So when you start asking them questions, you know, and what's your monthly income? Oh, what do you do for work? That's awesome. You make great money. Do you like what you do? How long have you been there? You know, you can start incorporating rapport into the needs analysis as you're going, okay? And how old are you? This and that. Now, you're 45, so what do you do for fun? You know, do you work full time, so you're super busy, but I'm sure that you like to wind down on the weekends or something. So what does that look like for you? So you can kind of slyly slip it in, and you'd be surprised when you start asking them these needs analysis questions and you have the needs analysis out and you're going through it, they start to let their guard down a little bit. And then you can connect with them on the spot. And it doesn't have to be a lengthy process. I've had rapport where it was 30 seconds. I've had rapport where it was 45 minutes, depending on the situation, depending on the appointment. But you can slip it in there either way. Just make sure that you stay in charge, that this client, no matter how big or smart or millionaire they are, they don't know what mortgage protection is. You do. You're the expert. They called you there for a reason. So have confidence, do your job. You know, that's why you're there. Don't let them intimidate you with their and one answered questions. Yep, nope, yep, nope. We've all felt that. And it is so uncomfortable. It is so uncomfortable to be sitting in a home and asking questions and trying to drum up conversation, and all you get is a one-word answer. It's not fun. But take control back, start on the needs analysis right away, and then build rapport as you go. You'd be surprised how much people open up after that.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm a naturally introverted person, and you know, Pete, my partner and business partner, he is naturally not introverted. And he would agree with me on that. And he has rubbed off on me. And I remember whenever I first got in the field, I was like, how do I handle these people? He's like, you got to be real with them and call them out. And I'm like, oh, that sounds easy for you to say. And then he's like, no, just call them out. And so I started doing that. And it really does work. Because, you know, I've gone into homes and they're like, all right, get to the point. What is this about? And, you know, they're all like this. And, you know, the one-worded answer. And then I'm like, ma'am, is your husband always this like uptight and mean all the time? And she's like, oh yeah, he's despicable. I'm like, sir, come on now, just chill out. It's insurance. I'm not the IRS. And I'm like, come on, we'll figure this thing out. I'm not going to rob you blind, okay? I'm not going to sell you a new house. I'm not going to sell you a water softener system. This is insurance. It's really not going to be that painful, okay? We'll be out of here as quick as possible. I try to call them out. Or if they're like, let's just get to the numbers. Let's get to numbers. I'm like, hold up, Hoss. Hold on a second. Can we make out first before we just jump in? Like, let's take this thing a little bit slower, and using humor, and being real with them. Or if they, and I, like you said, I do that too. Cause sometimes if you try to build rapport and that wall is way up and they're just like, get to the point, you have to give them a little bit and start going into the needs analysis. And just like you said, build rapport along the way. Like, one of the ways that I've done it is whenever I get to their medications and they're like, I'm on 10. I'm like, 10? Like, do you live at the pharmacy? Are you at the doctor's office every single day? My gosh, 10? And I do that no matter if it's 2, 10, 30, whatever. And, just to mess with them. And they're like, yeah, that's what I said. I'm trying to get off all these dang things. And so, just being real with them. But, we have a couple more minutes to close this out. What is the biggest thing that you could suggest for a new or veteran agent that you don't think anybody has heard, or you think that they should really hear unfiltered, that you think that would help them immediately getting off of this training?
Be yourself and be authentic. When it comes to building rapport, people tell us to follow the system and be a good copycat, just copy the right cat. And absolutely, when it comes to your in-home presentation and your sales presentation, if you're a brand new agent or even veteran, follow the pros. Like, if Brandon Hall told me what to say in home, yep, I'd repeat it verbatim, because Brandon Hall is fantastic at what he does. But when it comes to building rapport, you can't copy anybody. You've got to be authentic. You've got to be you, because that's going to translate. If you be fake with a client, they're gonna read through that. They're going to see through it in a second. So just be you, be authentic, and be confident. You're awesome. You're awesome. And the client's awesome. And you guys can connect on that level, then you're going to have no problems. So just be yourself, and trust the process. That would be my best advice, Brandon.
You have rocked the house, Noel. This has been awesome. I'm so glad that we invited you onto this. I think that people are going to learn a lot from this. And guys, if you got anything from today, the biggest things that you got to focus on is there is no magic potion for building rapport, for connecting with your clients. If I could say that there is a secret based off of what Noel has said today, it's be yourself. And you're saying, well, what does that mean? Like she said, treat them like they're your family. Ask them for permission in the beginning. Hey, is it okay if I talk to you just like you're my mom, my dad, my uncle, my brother? And they say, yeah. I'm like, okay, that means I might say some crazy offensive stuff to you. If I do, I'm sorry, but that just means I care. So guys, thank you so much, Noel. You are awesome. We appreciate you. And guys, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of the Elite Producer Bootcamp at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And let's go rock the house, guys. Have a good day.